We talk about after it. Okay.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Not while we're live streaming.
There we are. It's come out with a Zoom.
Yeah, it's on there.
Yeah, it takes a second. There we go. We're live.
Move that out the way. Touch.
And then
focus. I tell you what, I don't know if it's the camera angle or what, but it looks like the pictures on my wall are at a wonky angle. But I assure you they are not, because I got the level on my phone.
It looks a bit diagonal for.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter.
It bugs me because I can see it. I'm just like, it's looking at me.
It takes a very pedantic person to look at a video podcast and be like, oh my God, the mic's slightly out of angle. I'm turning off. I'm disliking.
It's not the microphone, it's the pictures behind me there.
They
just look
I remember this. Yeah.
And, because I got the level on my phone the other day because I looked at them and I was like, I swear they're level. And it's like, they're indeed level.
It's probably because the lens in your webcam is slightly like a fisheye, ever so slightly.
Slightly, yeah.
So it'll sort of like warp and bend them a little bit.
Yeah. But I can't seem to get the video to go properly on this desktop anyway. So, and I just realised I had Call of Duty open in the background. I thought I could hear something.
What, are you playing Warzone or Cold War?
Oh, Cold War's garbage, man.
Yeah, I know. I deleted it today because I got. Well,
honestly, I ordered it and requested a refund because it was absolute cod's wallop.
Yeah, it's not one of the greatest CODs ever.
No.
I didn't like Modern Warfare either, to be honest. So.
I love it. It's brilliant.
See, I hated it. It was way too short. It was over in like 4 hours. It was fun playing it, but it was just like
the campaign.
Yeah, the campaign.
Campaign for Modern Warfare is really good. I hate the multiplayer because the maps are shit.
Oh right. Fair enough.
No, the campaign for the multiplayer for Modern Warfare 2019 was really good. I still play it most days.
Yeah, because I watched like the competitive stuff, and for competitive it was a terrible game. Whereas like for general multiplayer, I think it might have been okay, but I just didn't. Oh, what's that?
That was my phone. I'm just sharing the thing. I had it on full volume. Idiot. Sorry for the feedback loop there, guys. Let me know if Aaron's waiting in the waiting room. I can't see the Zoom thing. I'm not looking at the moment.
I can't see him.
No,
nothing.
Shocking form, honestly. Nah.
Is he in England? Is he, or is he in another country? Or
he's in England? Yeah. He's got his own podcast. He does it solo, from what I can tell. I've watched a few of them on YouTube. I'm going on his show tomorrow to preview Belgium, so I get to do it twice.
just say the same points,
as you may have seen on Grid Talk podcast.
Yeah, I think the last one I did was like preview for like Austria or something. I can't remember. It was a while ago.
Something like that. Yeah, there's a hell of a lot. This is another triple header to start off.
Yeah. Oh god.
I know. Which, as a fan, I used to love, and I still do in a way. But organising this for a triple header is just a nightmare. And
then there's all the other podcasts that I've got to listen to, like that do the same thing, but I've got to listen to all of them really, because it's the principle.
What do we think about the two gaps in the calendar? Which races do you think will fill them?
Probably Bahrain's Kia out of layout again.
Instead of Australia.
Australia's cancelled, isn't it? Oh yeah.
Instead of Australia.
Yeah. I get. Yeah, that's what I think. Saying about Qatar, I don't know if the other one.
Yeah, I think that's going to happen.
Just what we need, another Middle Eastern race.
Well, the thing is, it's going to happen because it's where the money is, and they're not so COVID skeptic over there.
No, and they got good vaccination rates and all the rest of it.
Credit where it's due. Fair enough.
Oh yeah. Not to get away from that. It's more the human rights aspect.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, all you have to do is look how many people have died during the construction for the Qatar World Cup to see what kind of a country that is. But yeah,
it's going to be in December, isn't it? Bloody hell.
It should be warm at least.
Well, imagine trying to play football there in the summer.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's just a mess. It's weird going there because I've been to their airport in Doha, and you can tell it's clearly built for something like that because in normal times it's empty. It's one of the quietest, emptiest places I've ever been to. It's weird. There's Aaron. It's so eerie, but during the World Cup, it'll be absolutely rammed. That's what it's built for.
Yeah, well, they achieved it by the backdoor dealings, let's say.
Yeah.
Hi lads, how are we doing?
All right, how are you?
Good.
Just so you know, Aaron, we're going out live on YouTube at the moment, so don't say anything incriminating.
Okay. Hello, YouTube.
Yeah, that's fine. No bad language or anything.
Good.
Yeah, it's before 9 o'clock.
Yeah, it's before
the watershed. So it's Aaron Harper, your full name, Aaron. I think I saw pop up.
Yep.
Oh, good. I'll write that in. Anything you want to ask before we get going? I'm guessing you've watched or listened to one of the shows before. It's standard preview kind of stuff. Go for all the drivers and the teams.
Yeah. I've just checked out a couple of episodes you've done before, so I'm pretty relaxed about it all.
Fair enough. You all ready to go, lads?
Yeah, we don't get paid for it, do we? Well, I don't know about you guys.
No, I get paid loads for it. No, it's a passion project. It's a passion project. One day, but we do it because we love it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
After a long summer break, Formula One is back this weekend for the first leg of a triple header, beginning with a nice, relaxing Spa break. Welcome back to the Grid Talk podcast, everybody. This is episode number 127, where we'll be previewing the 2021 Belgian Grand Prix. I'm your host, George Howson, and I'm joined by Tom Downey of the EF1 podcast.
Hello.
Making his debut on the show, Aaron Harper.
Hi, guys.
And Mr. Sam Bam, thank you, ma'am, Sam Thatcher.
That's...
I had to think of something new.
Yeah, there's always got to be something, isn't there?
It's always got to be something. It's always got to be something.
It's been a long 4 weeks without Formula One, so it's going to be good to be back.
It has been a long 4 weeks indeed, and we're going to my personal favourite racetrack in the world, Tom, Spa-Francorchamps, and it's a bit of a home race in a way for Max Verstappen. Obviously, he's got a proper home race this year in the Netherlands, but he was born in Belgium, and his mum is Belgian. So how do you see Red Bull getting on this weekend? They're in second in the Constructors' Championship, but do you think they can make a comeback against Mercedes this weekend?
I think Red Bull are going to go pretty well this weekend. They've usually gone fairly well at Belgium, even when they've had their power unit deficiencies, if you like, in the past with a couple of years. But with that Honda unit giving them that shove that they've got this year, I think it could be a good weekend for Red Bull, and hopefully a good weekend for my boy Max.
Yeah, Max Verstappen not having a good weekend in Hungary a month ago now, 4 weeks ago now, and he'll be looking to get his first win around Spa, get back to winning races as well. I mean, obviously he didn't win in Silverstone, no Hungary, but it's just a little gap between him and Lewis Hamilton. It's only 8 points in the Drivers' Championship. And of course, Sam, we can't forget the other guy in this championship battle as well, Sir Lewis Hamilton. He's going on a high. He's finished in second place in Hungary, despite all the going to the back of the field and the tyre stops and everything. He was still there in second place, getting some great points in Hungary. How do you see him going into Belgium? Because it's a track where he's won at before, but he's also had a lot of bad luck here too.
Yeah, at the race I just watched the highlights of the race last year before this, and he pretty much strolled to that win without really any hassle, really. But that was when the Mercedes didn't really have any competition on a grid. But yeah, as you said, he'll be coming in on a high from the last few races because, going into Silverstone, he was about 30 points behind Verstappen, and now he's somehow got on, say, 8 points ahead. So Yeah, he's going to be riding high on that momentum, and we saw in the second part of the season in 2018 how he kind of turned it on and put the title battle to bed very quickly. So yeah, I think if he wins this race, it's going to be a big moment in the championship going forwards, because I can see him kind of running away with it after that. But you're just going to have to see what the performance is like in the practice sessions to see where we are, really, because obviously we don't know what the teams have been working on over the course of the break. So it's just going to be interesting to see where the cars are, because they are quite equal performance in the past couple of races. And I guess we don't really know like what's the definitive kind of better car is at the moment until they get on the track, really.
Yeah, we're not going to know until the guys get out on track. Obviously, we've had 4 weeks off. We've had, I think, a 2-week shutdown by the factories or something like that. But they've still had plenty of time to improve the car. A lot could have changed for those front two. It's been a fascinating battle. If I had to hazard a guess personally, I'd say that Red Bull probably have the advantage. Aaron, I mean, I think they've had the advantage round power tracks, and Spa is definitely a power circuit, but you can never rule out Mercedes. They just know how to win and get it across the line. So how do you see this battle going this weekend?
I think it's going to be quite similar to the Silverstone weekend, because you saw Mercedes sort of throw a bit of a curveball. Okay, they brought an upgrade to that weekend, but they kind of read the storm that was coming with Red Bull having a slightly quicker car, and they tuned their car appropriately, having more speed on the straights. And if they go that way this weekend and then qualify second or third on the grid, they could be leading by the end of lap 1. But of course, if Max makes a good start and he's up there, then he can control the race. And that Honda power unit, as you mentioned, Tom, is much stronger than it ever has been before, which is kind of a shame for Honda, because they're disappearing at the end of this year. But of course, they're putting all their eggs in this basket and want to bring home the championship. So it's going to come down to how they set up the cars through practice, and like you say, Sam, how that practice sessions go. But it's going to be really, really tight. We're going to be very dependent on the qualifying session, but then again on the start. And you saw 2018 where Sebastian Vettel just swamped Lewis Hamilton on the run up to Les Combes, and we could see something very similar again. And don't be surprised if there's someone unexpected leading out of Les Combes, like a McLaren or perhaps even a Ferrari.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I was at that race in 2018. It was Hamilton and Vettel and the two Force Indias, I think they were called at the time.
Yeah, that was an awesome kind of shot, wasn't it? All those four going down that straight. That was so good. The race after that wasn't very good, was it? I don't really remember anything else about that race.
It wasn't the best. It wasn't the best, but the Ferrari fans and the Germans left there very, very happy indeed because Vettel won. But I think you're right on that, Aaron. I really do. I think it's really going to come down to how they set up the cars as well. There's the first and the final sector, it's absolute straight line speed, but the middle sector, it's all about the downforce, the high speed downforce, and who's going to come out on top with that? I don't know. It's going to be really tight. And another thing to mention is, and I always say this, it doesn't come true most of the time, but it is forecast to rain this weekend, the entire weekend. But as I know from personal experience, you cannot predict the weather in this part of the world. But what we could try and predict is how the second drivers in the top teams are going to get on. Sergio Perez and Valtteri Bottas, both of those were wiped out and in the first corner incident at Hungary. But this time they should hopefully get a chance to influence the race.
Yeah, depending on how Perez and Bottas get on, could very well sort of help define how the Constructors' Championship is going to play out for the rest of this season. Bottas has arguably been the more consistent. I'm not really convinced of myself when I'm saying that, but he has had some pretty decent races. Whether he'll be at Mercedes next year, whether he knows the answer to that, I mean, I'm not going to go over that again because it's been done to death and it's not going to help him in any way. But whether he's got the answers to that in his head or not, that could either help him or hinder him. Perez is obviously a very, very experienced driver and has settled into that Red Bull pretty nicely, all things told. Hungary obviously wasn't his fault. You know, he got absolutely yeeted by Bottas in the sort of ensuing mess. But yeah, it's going to be nip and tuck between those two. But then I think behind the sort of second of the top two teams, you're going to have the likes of Lando Norris really nipping at his heels, maybe Fernando Alonso or Esteban Ocon, or dare I say it, even maybe a Ferrari up there or an Aston Martin.
It's all possible. The midfield battle does tend to swallow up Bottas and Perez at times. And the guy that's been at the head of that midfield battle more often than not has been Lando Norris. Now, I feel for the guy. He's been incredible this season. He's still in third in the championship. Obviously, his point streak is over now, but he's got a very good chance this weekend, Sam, to rekindle that form, because he's been absolutely amazing this season.
Yeah, no, he's been far and away the class of the midfield, isn't he? He's absolutely outclassed Daniel Ricciardo, which I don't think any of us kind of expected the gap to be as big as it currently is. He's always kind of been there so far this season. When something's happened up front, he's been the one that's always kind of, as Tom said, nipping at the heels of the front four, just trying to get any advantages that he can. And the McLaren should be pretty good around this track. I'm expecting the Ferrari to be at the head of the midfield again, as they have been all season, really. We'll see what Lando can do. He got, obviously, as you said, his points finish has been stopped now by no fault of his own. He was just like a passenger, was he, in that absolute kind of carnage that was on the first corner of the last race. We probably haven't talked about that enough already, so won't go into that. We'll see what Lando can do. I expect them to be around the fifth and sixth kind of places for sure on the grid. Because obviously, how many podiums has he got? Has he got 2 podiums this year or one? I think he's got 1. He's got 3. Jesus.
That's 3, yeah.
Yeah,
Austria,
right. Yeah.
Imola and Monaco.
Yeah. So he's had 3 podiums so far in his career, and if something happens ahead of him, then that can happen again for sure.
It's definitely possible. I mean, McLaren really should be the third fastest team around this track. It's a power circuit. It should suit the car. It should suit the Mercedes engine as well. But the main question, I mean, Lando Norris is a bit of a known quantity this year, to say the least. But the big question marks are really over his teammate, Daniel Ricciardo, Aaron. I mean, I love Ricciardo. I really want to see him succeed. And I want to say as well, because some people called me out on this, I meant to say that he survived the first corner incident in Hungary, not that he survived it unscathed. I know he had damage. I know that's why he struggled, but he has struggled a lot this season. So I just want to clear that up. But how do you see Ricciardo getting on this weekend? Because it's a circuit where he's won out in the past, but we've said this about other tracks, and he's just not performed. I mean, it's very hot and cold in that McLaren.
Yeah, he's been kind of nowhere, or he's managed to just nip ahead of Lando. I really hope that he's been able to go back to Woking and sort of get on top of things. He's had 2 or 3 weeks to look at everything and just process it and work at things. He maybe had a few hours in the simulator, just to sort of iron out a few of the kinks. From other videos that I've seen around on the YouTube and stuff, it's on the brakes that he's really struggling. And that's kind of where he's most famed for those late braking maneuvers. And if you're struggling on the brakes, you're not going to have the confidence to make those overtakes. So you end up getting stuck. Kind of hoping that the car suiting Belgium and the Spa circuit will play into his hands a little bit more. But then again, you have to be daring on the brakes so many points of this track to carry the speed through the corners. And then if you're not, you just end up bleeding lap time. So I can kind of see it going both ways for Daniel. It could be a return to glory for him, or it could be more of the struggles that we've seen so far this season, which I don't think should detract from his quality as a driver, because it's been said by Lando and by Carlos Sainz that the McLaren has been a difficult car to drive at times. Lando's had 3 seasons now, 2.5 seasons in his 3rd season, to get on top of that, to learn the nuances. And now he's collecting all the fruits of his labor to go and score podiums and points, and hopefully sometime in the future, some wins.
Yeah, Daniel Ricciardo is a great driver. And ironically, he is the more experienced driver overall, but he's inexperienced in that team and in that car. And it's showing, unfortunately. I really hope he can get on top of it. He seems to be great one week and then not so great the next. Hopefully he'll be great at this track though this weekend. Because McLaren are right in there with constructors battle with Ferrari. They're level, in fact, after Vettel got disqualified in Hungary. They're level on 163 points each. So it's so important. Every point counts so much. But let's talk about Ferrari, because Tom, I think they're going to struggle this weekend. They struggle around power tracks. This is very much a power circuit, but they have proved us wrong with this before. Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc, they're both driving the wheels off of that Ferrari, and they've really carried it to the joint third in the Constructors' Championship. So how do you see them getting on this weekend?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be pretty for Ferrari this weekend. I don't think it's going to be anything as bad as it was last year, when I think Vettel went out in Q1 and Leclerc maybe only just made it through to Q2. I might be slightly wrong on that, but I remember it's pretty dismal. The Ferrari has been in a unique position this year because they obviously spent all their development tokens on the rear of the car, trying to get the rear to be more stable or to get it to be more sorted. But obviously they then weren't able to do anything to the front of the car. So the front wing, and if you look at the front wing, sort of front nose design, is still a lot wider than most of the other designs on the grid. Now, I get it, every team does its own design, but it does seem that sort of narrow nose is the more efficient approach. The power unit is obviously better than it was last year, but it's certainly not what it was like in 2018 and 2019. Now, obviously, there was some funny goings on then. But yeah, I think both Sainz and Leclerc, they've been driving beyond the limits of that car's capability almost. They've been getting absolutely everything out of it. I mean, they've both had a podium. Leclerc nearly won a race, for heaven's sake. I mean, yes, I know he was a little bit fortunate with what went on in front of him, but you take the hand that you were dealt, and he so nearly won a race. So they could maybe sneak into the points if there perhaps a couple of safety cars and retirements, or if they get, if they get a good undercut or overcut, they might be able to work strategy into it somehow. But I don't think they're going to have a particularly good weekend just on raw pace.
I think it's going to be difficult for them, to be honest, here, and unfortunately for them as well. Monza, I think they'll be two very difficult tracks for them, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with them. Now, before we get into the fifth place team in the Constructors, I will give a shout out to someone who has given us a 5-star review on iTunes. Debbie in Chicago has put, appreciate the diversity. I'm new to F1, and as such, I value the depth of the discussions and diversity of perspectives. And a female voice is refreshing. Thanks. So sorry to disappoint you, Debbie, but I'm on this weekend. But hopefully Steph and Ruby will make a comeback soon on the show. And if you want to get your name read out at the start of the show, you give us a 5-star review on iTunes, and we'll give you a shout out at the start of every show, or fifth place as well. That's what we normally do. So moving on to fifth place in the Constructors' Championship. And Sam, surprisingly, it's Alpine, Esteban Ocon's win, and Fernando Alonso's fourth place, doing absolute bits for them in the Constructors. It's really, really catapulted them up there, ahead of AlphaTauri, ahead of Aston Martin. But again, like Ferrari, I think this will probably be a difficult weekend for them. They're a bit of an underpowered car. And Alonso as well, this is probably his weakest track on the calendar. He's never won here before.
Is he not? Well, that's quite a surprising stat, that is. Alpine, obviously, bar the win they had last year, their last race, they've not been in great form, have they? Apart from that, they've always seemed to be towards the kind of fight with the Aston Martins, not really going forward than that. They've struggled to challenge the likes of McLaren and Ferrari for the upper echelons of the points. But yeah, bar that win, they would have been quite that win and that fourth place for Alonso. They would have been quite a way down the standings, behind AlphaTauri and Aston Martin. So that's really done them a solid. But yeah, as you said here, I don't really see them really troubling the top end of the points like they did in the last race, obviously. But unless we see another crazy race, I don't really see them kind of getting anywhere near the likes of McLaren and Ferrari once again. But we'll see. Alonso has shown us this year that once he's got his kind of mojo back, he can get the maximum performance out of any car that he's in. And as we saw in the last race, he can defend for his life. I know it's going to be a bit more difficult around this track to defend from from cars, but we'll see what he does. Yeah, my respect for Alonso this year has kind of gone a lot higher than it previously was from his last stint in F1. I'm pretty glad he's back, to be honest, because he's just a brilliant driver, and yeah, I hope he stays around for a couple of more years and gets a chance at winning races again, because I think he deserves one more kind of shot at that before he retires.
Me too. He's been close a lot of years and come up just short ever since he won his second title in 2006. And it'd be good to see him up there again. But it's not going to be this year. It could be next year, though.
Yeah, he's kind of gone a record on said, he doesn't. Yeah, this year's just about building for 2022, which is for a lot of teams. But I guess they'll take what they can get this year whilst they're in the thick of the midfield battle. When they with like AlphaTauri and Aston Martin, that's where they are. So yeah, we'll see. But I don't think, as with Ferrari, I don't think they're going to have a great weekend at all.
No, I think Zandvoort will be a much better track for them. But we'll see. You never know. I mean, Ocon, he's done well here in the past. He's done well here when he drove for Force India. Alonso, despite never winning, has had some really good results, pulled out some incredible performances. I think he got 7th one year in that awful McLaren Honda when he had no right to be anywhere near up there. So fair play to the guy. He can really get a result out of his car. But a team that I think could be in for a good weekend this weekend, Aaron, is AlphaTauri. Now, they've slipped down to 6th in the constructors, but they've got a Honda power unit in the back of the car. Gasly usually does quite well here. And I think Yuki Tsunoda, even though he has struggled this season, I think this track will suit him. It's high speed. It's got a lot of runoff, so you can make some mistakes. And yeah, it really rewards cojones, let's just say. So I think he's got plenty of those, bless him.
Yeah, I think he has. He reminds me a lot of Takuma Sato. The way he burst onto the scene was kind of uber flamboyant, and he was crashing every other weekend, or there was always something crazy going on. And he's very, very similar with that. Did he pick up the win in F2 last year?
Yeah, sure. I think he did.
Because Mazepin, didn't he get like a penalty or something?
Oh yeah, because
that doesn't narrow it down.
Because Mazepin then kicked out at the end, didn't he? Or the sign.
He was having a tantrum.
Yeah, what surprise.
Didn't get what I want. Okay, I'll kick things.
Yeah.
But, I mean, for Yuki, that will stand him in good stead, because he's had a bit of a rough first half of the season where it's been pretty up and down and sometimes in the wall. And he just needs to calm down, really. He's got the speed, and if he delivers on track, he'll deliver good results. And he probably isn't that far away from Pierre Gasly in terms of raw pace and raw talent. Gasly's just had several seasons now of putting it together. He's gone through the hardships of that time at Red Bull and being dropped by Red Bull, and he's absolutely flying. I mean, he's pulled out some brilliant qualifying laps this season, which has really surprised me, actually. I didn't think the AlphaTauri was going to be quite that strong at times. But, sticking up P4 on the grid in Baku, and then in Hungary, was he P5 or something? Best of the rest, wasn't he?
He was.
He's been in the top 6 quite a few times.
Yeah, the amount of top 6 qualifying performances he's had has been fantastic, and kind of outperforming that car, a bit like with Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari. I mean, it's very similar to the Red Bull in terms of its downforce philosophy. So if the Red Bull goes well, the AlphaTauri in theory should go well. But I think they lack a little bit of the raw downforce. They might then sub that for some straight line speed, which could leave them quite handily placed in the race, even if they qualify sort of around the mid-grid edge of the top 10. So don't rule them out for some good points. I mean, if we have another crazy race, they'll be looking to take advantage of it.
Definitely. There's a lot of pace in that car, and it's got a lot of potential. Another car that's shown a lot of potential as well, after a bit of a slow start to the season, has been Aston Martin. Now, it was an ultimate high for them getting a second place in Hungary, but then obviously Vettel got disqualified. They went from 6th down to 7th because of that. They're 20 points behind AlphaTauri. They're not going to close that gap this weekend, Tom, but this is a team, the Silverstone outfit, whether it be Jordan, whether it be Force India, and now Aston Martin, they've always gone well around Spa. So how do you see them getting on this weekend? Because it's a track where Vettel's won out a few times as well.
Yeah, with Aston Martin, they're either going to come 8th or 18th, and there's about no in between with them this season. They've had a real roller coaster of of results. Obviously Vettel's 2 podiums with the second one obviously subsequently being disqualified. They with that Mercedes unit in the back, they could get a decent shove around here, depending on how they set the car up. Obviously they set it up to take maximum effect of that power unit. So if they get a good shove down the Kemmel straight and then down the back straight as well, who knows? But they could, if they get into some dirty area or go around sort of like Lake Com or something, they could end up all over the place, and the car could be switching like nobody's business. It's really hard to say with Aston Martin, because at the start of the season, I would have said probably not much, because they had a pretty poor Bahrain, and the first few races weren't great. But they have got better, but then they seem to have gone down a bit again. And I don't know. I think in terms of the actual drivers, Vettel will probably have a stronger weekend. I think experience will play a lot if the car's not there. Stroll he'll be there. With Stroll, I feel like they can't say much about him. Not taking anything away from him. I think he's a decent driver, but I just think he'll be a bit anonymous almost. We might hear him and his engineer have a bit of a lover's tiff at some point, and then see him the following weekend.
His engineer always sounds really angry with him, doesn't he?
Well, I seem to remember from Turkey last year when Stroll was saying that his tyres were knackered, channeling his inner Hamilton, and then his engineer just says, "I'm like, I'll stay out then."
I know exactly.
Like an exasperated mother.
I was just going to say that. I'm sure about sort of like 10, 15 years ago when I was a teenager, I remember my mum sort of making those kind of comments like this to say, "Oh, for God's sake!" It was that kind of thing.
It's like when you're constantly in and out of the house, and your mum's like, "You're either in or you're out."
You're out. Yeah. And then my dad would be shouting, "Shut the door! We're not heating the street."
Were you born in a barn?
Yeah, born in a barn. Yeah.
I'm Welsh. That phrase is lost on me.
Fair enough.
I think, in fairness to Stroll, not much being said about him is actually.
I think he's doing in the world good. Yeah.
I mean, it takes the attention away from the fact that he's daddy's boy, but he's there quietly accumulating these sensible results.
Yeah, absolutely. And whilst I do think he came into F1 too soon. He came from Formula 3, didn't he, in 2017? Now, obviously, a fair amount of that was because his father put investment into Williams. Then, obviously, the move to Racing Point come Aston Martin. He's obviously followed him round. And why wouldn't you? And I do think he's obviously evolved a lot as a driver. He's matured a lot as a driver. He still has a lot to learn. But he's younger than I am. And, I'm 26, Stroll is something like 24. So let's not forget that he is not particularly old.
Yeah, he was only 18 when he came in. And yeah, I think he's improved year on year, but he needs to cut out the odd mistake, like we saw in Hungary, just piling into the side of Charles Leclerc, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Off the start. That's not going to endear to anybody. But other than that, this season, he's been fairly consistent, I'd say. Not
the most
spectacular, but...
Yeah, like the most attention he's had all year is when he became a meme in Monaco, because of when he crashed into.
And that wasn't his fault. Like, he couldn't do anything about that.
It's just because he was there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The next 2 weeks, everyone was just putting Lance Stroll on loads of classic F1 clips.
He'll be one to look out for as well if it rains. He generally goes quite well if it rains. So does Seb, in fairness.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because he got pulled in Turkey last year in the rain.
Yeah, the ice rink.
Yeah. I mean, he's Canadian, isn't he? He should be used to skating around on ice, so fair enough.
Fully at home on that.
God, yeah. I bet he's looking forward to the Istanbul race again. I bet he hopes it rains again, but he probably won't do. It's pretty rare it happens like that. But
he'll ask his dad to relay the track surface again, won't he? Because they can afford it.
Oh my God. Yeah, they can afford it. They can afford it. Yeah.
F1 and bribery. I don't know what you mean.
Anyway, moving swiftly.
We're going on tangent.
That's another rabbit hole.
I like to think the listeners do like it. I hope they do.
Tangents are always so funny.
They are, yeah. So another team that's very difficult to predict is Williams, Sam. Now, obviously, it finally happened. Nicholas Latifi got points. George Russell got points. 7th and 8th after disqualifications. 10 points on the board. 7 points ahead of Alfa Romeo.
Let's go.
The season's gone from being a disaster to being not as much of a disaster. If they finish up 8th for the end of it, I think they'll take that as a very good year. So how do you see them getting on this weekend? It's a track, again, it should favour the Mercedes engine, but we always talk about the peaky downforce and how it's going to act. So how do you think they're going to get on?
Yeah, and we've seen, well, if there's a little bit of wind, they can't handle that either, can it? And we'll see what the weather's like. You said it might rain. We'll see. But yeah, obviously an incredible result for them last time. Latifi drove an excellent race. I was really impressed with him. We haven't really seen like him racing wheel to wheel much during his career, really. And yeah, it was just really good to see. And of course, now he's got more points than George Russell. So Latifi to Mercedes confirms. You heard it here first, but we'll see. But yeah, no, I don't think that's a reflection on the kind of levels of the two drivers. Obviously, George is a higher quality driver. We've seen what he's done in some of the qualifying sessions this year. And yeah, we'll see what he can do on Saturday again. Whether obviously today's obviously there's been this Total Wolf thing that's came out in the news today. I don't know.
I haven't actually seen that.
You're right back off to Google.
Do tell, Sam. Breaking.
It's like this, like to do with money and the Aston Martin and Lawrence Stroll. I'm not entirely sure what.
Total Wolf is suspected of insider trading. Bloody hell! That's actually quite serious.
Yeah, that's bad. Because him and Lawrence Stroll are pretty close friends, aren't they? So
yeah, you can always see them together in the paddock. So I'm not obviously. I saw that on Reddit earlier. I was like, I don't really.
That's a very serious offence, but they've got to prove it, which is difficult usually.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Lawrence Stroll can afford some very high quality lawyers as well.
Can Toto. Yeah.
Yeah, they're both.
I think he'll be all right. I think he'll get away with it.
Yeah, but yeah, I was going to say that might delay the. Well, we don't know if George is going to be announced as a Mercedes driver. Obviously, we don't know that for sure. But I think he will eventually. But I've seen also today that Lewis wants to keep Bottas as a teammate, and we know
he does.
we know Lewis has the power of that team to kind of decide who his teammate is, and I don't think George wants to spend another year kind of trundling around at the back, does he? So. Yeah, so it's all up in the air as we speak. Yeah, getting back to Williams this weekend. Got another two tangents there. Getting back to Williams this weekend. Yeah, I don't really see them troubling the points again unless there's another unless we see like a Spa 1998 kind of thing going on. Yeah, I reckon they'll be ahead of Haas. Maybe level with Alfa Romeo again. Yeah, I don't see them getting points again for the rest of the season. That'll be fine, to be honest, because Alfa Romeo are pretty terrible as well. I don't see them getting 7 points over the course of the season either. So, and Haas obviously not going to get points. So, yeah, I think if they finish on 10 points, it's going to be a job well done. Really, it's like Burnley finishing 17th. Like, it's not going to set the world alight, but yeah, it's a job done.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, it's a good season for them if they finish 8th. It's progress. It's good points as well, getting 10. And for what it's worth, I agree. I can't see Alfa Romeo getting another 7-8 points. They've scraped 3 10th places. That's all they've managed to get. And Aaron, I can't really see them getting much better than that this weekend. I mean, we've got Kimi Räikkönen, who was won round Spa 4 times. He always goes well here, but maybe low end points, but I can't really see anything spectacular for him nor Giovinazzi this weekend.
Well, don't write off Kimi. You could tip him for the win. He's got a good record around Spa.
Oh my God, can you imagine?
Just goes and bags win number 5. I mean, he won in that
10-year deal.
Yeah, he won in the dog of a Ferrari from 2009. So, I mean, anything's possible. And Fisichella was on pole that year. So, stranger things have happened. But that Alfa Romeo, it looked okay at the start of the year, but it's just kind of regressed very slowly and reversed itself towards Haas. And Williams have done really well to pick up those points in that crazy race in Hungary. And Alfa Romeo, both their drivers managed to shoot themselves in the foot by picking up penalties. I mean, admittedly, Kimi's wasn't really his fault, but Giovinazzi could definitely have helped by not speeding in the pit lane, being on track at the right time to pick up those points. I don't think they'll go very well. The Ferrari power unit lacks a little bit of top speed, so they won't be troubling the top speeds sector times. They'll be just sort of nowhere, sort of mid-teens, somewhere ahead of Haas, somewhere behind everyone else, and maybe Kimi will give us some sound bites on the radio or something.
I think he probably will. If he's getting bored, bless him, on long straights, he'll probably give us some sound bites, give us some best radios of the weekend.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean. They're not particularly terrible, Alfa Romeo. They're always just outside the points, but they're very rarely in them. I don't see that changing.
They're just kind of there, aren't they? They're just one of those teams. And
making up the numbers.
Giovinazzi has crashed out at the last 2 Belgian Grand Prix, which because I watched both the highlights from the previous 2 years before this, and he's crashed out. Well, he crashed out Pau in 2019, like the last
on the last lap. Yeah, wasn't he in the points in that one as well?
I'm pretty sure he would have been
crashed out.
Would have been like his second point or something. And then last year he took he spun like a little bit further down the track, and then George ran over his wheel.
Yeah.
So I remember that.
Yeah, that was one of the only things that happened really in the race last year.
It was not a good race last year. Really not. It's a fantastic track, Spa, but it can make some dull races, and that was one of the few. Hopefully it's different this week, and especially, like I keep mentioning, if it rains, that's the key. If it rains, it's going to be mental. If not, it could well be mental anyway. It's a hell of a circuit.
We only need a little bit of rain, because I watched the 1995 race today in preparation for this, just to dive deep into the archives. I knew it would come in somewhere. But even there wasn't really that much rain, and like half the track was wet, half the track was dry. So you might just get this crazy anomaly for like 15 minutes where no one's on the right tire, and it's whoever can survive and make it through without crashing. Looking your way, Giovinazzi.
Shots fired.
Bold. I'm just going to say my bold prediction again now is Giovinazzi crashes out again.
Is that a bold prediction though?
That's an expectation.
Bold prediction.
I think I was going to say bold prediction. Giovinazzi keeps on the track.
Yeah, that's a bold prediction.
Giovinazzi doesn't crash out. Let's say that.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh man! So speaking of crashes, let's get on to the final team. Haas. I'm sorry, Tom. You've got the short straw. I mean, it's 30 years after Michael Schumacher's F1 debut. Maybe they'll do something interesting for Mick Schumacher, getting to drive his dad's Jordan from 91 or something. But other than that, I don't really see the Haas drivers doing anything particularly interesting.
Yeah.
Just silence.
Just silence. You have no answer.
Will Haas turn up at the circuit? Yes. Well done.
Yeah, they will. I think because they're contractually obliged to. That's about it. Yeah. I mean, unless there's like some glitch in the matrix, we're not realistically going to see the Haas near the points, because this is again a power dependent circuit. And that Haas, they might as well drive one of the team lorries around for all good it's worth this year. I do get, obviously, they're putting all their eggs into the basket for next year. And I don't blame them, because they're on an extremely limited budget, hence the driver lineup. And that goes for both sides of the garage, because let's not dismiss the amount of investment that Schumacher brings and that name brings. Not taking anything away from his driving, obviously. He's an F2 champion. But it's not all Mazepin that's the money driver in that team. I mean, there's only so much they can do in that car. I mean, I feel like I'm just repeating myself week to week with Haas at the minute.
It doesn't get any better, does it? It never changes.
No, they're probably just counting down the days until 2022. I really do hope we can see them bring somewhat of a fight next year, but this year they're only battling themselves and probably Alfa Romeo's, but I think that Alfa Romeo is just far enough ahead of them of the track, they're not really going to have too much of an issue. And then they can just go for a nice Sunday drive, put the cruise control on, and finish having only had to do, like, however many laps it is, minus about 3. That's how
to be fair, goes. They never do a full race distance, do they?
Nah.
So, yeah.
Christ alive. Imagine if we had the outer layer this year, if we have it this year.
Oh my days.
Yeah.
We might do.
Power circuit as well. So.
Yeah, and seriously, if we get the outer circuit this year, the Haas could be lapped 5 times, if not more. Because they were lapped 4 times I think Mazepin was lapped 4 times in Austria.
Yeah.
So there was somewhere both of them were lapped 3 times, and I'm sure Mazepin has been lapped 4 times.
Yeah.
Puts it all in perspective, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to be fair, like Schumacher's, I know it's a dog of a car, but Schumacher's spun a few times as well in qualifying.
Oh yeah.
It's not all been Mazepin that's been
no, absolutely not
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was Schumacher who spun out or hit the barriers in Monaco. Yeah. Cost his team, was it 750,000 euros or €1 million? Sorry, I'm going to turn the fan off. It's just gone Baltic in here.
Good.
Yeah, and Schumacher's not the be all and end all. He did put up a good fight in Hungary. He put on some real defensive moves. It was really nice to see him like legitimately battling for places. And yeah, I mean Mazepin. It was just put the money aside for a minute because we know that's why he's there. He's improved to the sense that he's not spinning in at least one session every weekend, but he is consistently half a second off his teammate in qualifying. I think the only time he's maybe out qualified him was in Monaco when Mick couldn't get out because Mick had hit the barriers. I mean, yeah, just what can you say? I'm struggling here.
It's just, you've managed to talk for quite a few minutes tonight, which is a good achievement, really, to be honest.
Yeah, but to be fair, a lot of that was me just going.
Yeah.
That's the phrase, isn't it? Just yeah.
Haas. This or that. Oh, I thought something we could say about Haas.
Go on.
This is just me speculating. The rumours, obviously, of Andretti wanting to get involved in Formula One.
Ooh.
Perhaps instead of taking over a new team, could we see Gene Haas maybe transition? Because if he wants to keep the American theme, could he say bye-bye billionaire to Mazepin Senior and perhaps bring in Andretti to keep the American thing going? Just a thought.
I can see it being a 3-way thing there because then they could keep the money. Because I'm not sure Andretti, even with all of his pulling power as a name, would have
the financial impact.
Yeah, the financial impact to keep that team afloat.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be sort of, I mean, it would almost cut out William's story, which would be great. Because as it stands,
he just won't go away.
He's gonna pop up again somewhere, isn't he?
Oh. Well, he made this big song and dance before the season that he was like on board with the team, and I've got something here which I want to spray at William's story. It's fly and wasp killer, and I just want to spray that in his face and tell him to go away. I tried to go piss off, will you?
Yeah. Oh God.
That was perfect timing of where I was sitting next to him.
Yeah. He's got. Is this Twitter? Because he's got his Twitter account. I don't know if it's actually legit. Or if it's just some.
I think it's
someone. Some like Josh Revell or someone just got made a fake account and just has been tweeting from
Josh, if that's you can come clean about it. We'll still respect you, man. Don't worry. But no, I think it's probably him.
Yeah,
I think
he's
insane, isn't he?
Oh, he's mental. I've never seen a bottle of Rich Energy in real life.
No, I haven't either.
I actually ordered some. Just perhaps I'm helping him launder money. I don't know, but
definitely are.
Yeah, I've never seen a can of Rich Energy in a store. You think about like all the different energy drinks. You have your obvious ones like Red Bull. I'm actually wearing a Red Bull tag heuer at the moment. Hence my favorite team. But you see your Monster. You see, Red Bull. You see, there's another one that's named after a body part. That's a little less known. I think you know the one I mean.
I know the one.
I think another one. Yeah,
I know exactly.
And there are all sorts of. Actually, I'll tell you an energy drink that sponsors the Formula One team that I've never seen in the shop. Hype Energy.
Yeah, I've never seen them either. Actually,
were they on the Force India?
Yeah, they're on the Force India for a long time.
Yeah.
Now I looked them up. Now my go-to place, I'm sure most people do, if you want to find something that's not groceries, is you go to Amazon. And I typed in Hype Energy into Amazon. They came up pretty quickly, so I wonder if it's perhaps more of like a wholesale thing. But I've never seen a can of that in a shop. So
it's some dodgy stuff going on with Rich Energy, and William's story will always be making stories.
He's just
because how outlandish he is.
He's like a Bond villain. He's like a Bond villain kind of persona.
He comes out with more crazy claims than Bernie Ecclestone, which is saying something.
That's impressive.
Good going. Yeah.
Bernie had some wacky ideas like sprinklers.
Sprinklers
on the track. That would have been hilarious if they tried that form. Instead of the sprint race, just do sprinklers.
The sprinkler race.
Sprint sprinkler.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
Oh man, they should do that for Paul Ricard. They've got the sprinklers there. They'd liven it up. Why not?
No, I'd rather see the Barcelona. That's an even more dire track.
Yeah, that's true. Not wrong there. But the races there this year, for them, not too bad.
Yeah,
definitely the exception.
Was good this year.
Yeah, not bad at all. But yeah, after that long tangent, that was longer than William Story's beard.
Back to Haas. They're not going to do anything.
No, they're not going to
say
do anything.
that.
Haas, one of my favorite phrases. Haas are going to bring up the rear. So, yeah, let's get into our podium predictions for this weekend. So, I'm going to say Max Verstappen to win. I'm going to go with Lewis Hamilton for second. I think it's going to be a usual top two. And you know what? I'm just feeling there's going to be a big surprise, and it's going to be my bold prediction as well. I'm going to go with Daniel Ricciardo on the podium in third. It's going to be my bold prediction as well. Tom, what's your top three?
Verstappen, Hamilton, Norris.
Okay. Sam?
We're kind of going at a risk here of everybody saying kind of the same thing. I think Verstappen will win, and I kind of hope he does as well, because that will kind of line up the top. Well, no, it's only 8 points, but if Lewis wins this, I don't know. But Verstappen. Yeah, I think Verstappen's going to win, and Hamilton will be in second. And I'm going to go with. I'm just going to go boring. We go Bottas for P3.
The Hambot.
The Hambot. Yeah, the
Hambot.
The Hambot. Yeah.
Aaron, is it going to be a full house for Verstappen?
No, I think Hamilton's going to just edge him out. He's riding that wave of momentum, and even though there's been a few weeks between the races, Max has still got the psychological effect of losing 40 odd points to Hamilton in the last two races through mostly no fault of his own. So I think he'll be doing something to disrupt Hamilton, or Hamilton will have the setup like he did in Silverstone, and it will work out that way for him. But I still think they'll be the top two. So Hamilton, Verstappen, and then I think Lando Norris, third place.
To be fair, it's really hard to kind of call it, isn't it? It's not. I don't know.
We've had 4 weeks off, haven't we? So there's a lot of unknowns about how the teams are developed and stuff.
It's really good to have this kind of problem for once, you know.
Well, we've all gone for Mercedes, Red Bull, and McLaren on the podium, so that's a bit of consistency.
Yeah.
So I've said my bold prediction: Ricciardo for the podium, first podium for McLaren. Tom, what's your bold prediction?
A Ferrari gets into the points.
Is that bold?
That's a very sad bold prediction for them.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm taking it.
Set the bar low.
I don't care if
Now we're off the air instantly.
Yeah, Tom seems to have some connection issues.
Yeah.
Sam, what's your bold prediction?
Well, yeah, I kind of came up with mine earlier. It's Giovinazzi to finish the race for the first time in his career. Finish the Belgian GP for the first time in his F1 career.
Oh, God. I swear down, if Mazepin ends up with more Belgian Grand Prix finishes than Giovinazzi after this race, I'm going to be fuming. Aaron, what's your bold prediction?
I was going to say Schumacher to get to Q2 because he did it in Paul Ricard, even though he crashed. But I think the Haas will be just a little bit too far behind. So I'm going to go for him to out-qualify something that's not another Haas.
Oh, so 18th or higher, basically.
Yeah, 18th or higher.
So basically, what you're saying is he's going to out-qualify the Latifi.
Yeah,
or someone else who crashed. Maybe Sonoda.
Yeah.
Does that count? If it's a technicality.
Oh, he's technically, yeah, because he's above him on the grid then, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's like...
It's like saying Ferrari going to get points.
Shots. Right.
And Aaron's off the air.
We're off the air in Italy now, completely.
Sorry.
I don't think we're overly popular in Italy. I'll be honest. I don't think they've never been up there in the ranks for the most listened countries. They're in France giving our takes on Ferrari and Renault. I don't think we've gone down too well in those two countries.
Yeah, I always seem to poo on Renault when I was working on. Whether it's Alpine or Renault, it always seems kind of.
Hey, fair play to Alpine though. They're doing all right. They're in fifth. They're doing well this season.
Yeah, they're doing better than I thought.
I don't expect that to last. I think they'll do very well to hold up AlphaTauri, but we'll see. You never know. With Alonso in there, and Ocon's won a race, of course, so anything's possible. Right, so those are all the drivers. Those are our predictions and our bold predictions. I'm going to give you guys a chance to plug. Aaron, I forgot to mention that you're a Formula One podcaster yourself. So what's your show and where can people find it?
So it's on YouTube. It's 5 Red Lights. So we do race previews, race reviews. I do, what else do I do? I do a drive of the month vote. So I do like a straw poll and then I get everyone to vote and then make a video on that. So that's a pretty cool way of getting everyone involved. And I do 5 things that were great and 5 things that sucked about every Grand Prix weekend.
Fair enough. Definitely check out his channel. I'll be on there this week as well to preview the Belgian Grand Prix. I'm not sure. When does it go live, the preview normally? Is it normally a Thursday?
Thursday or Friday.
Thursday or Friday. So be sure to check that out. 5 Red Lights on YouTube. Tom, I've mentioned that you are part of the EF1 podcast. What is that and where can people find it?
So you can find the EF1 podcast on all your favorite podcasting platforms. If you search for the Everything F1 podcast, that's what the E in the EF1 stands for. You'll find us there. We do a weekly podcast. We're usually previewing and reviewing depending on how the race weekend goes. We've had some good guests on. We had Ed Straw on the other week. We've had Lawrence Barretto amongst others. We've had Jamie Chadwick and Matt Bishop, who used to be the communications bloke at Aston Martin. We've had some very good guests, and we've got some other good ones coming up. With regards to the rest of EF1, we are at Join EF1 on all your social platforms. And our main Facebook group is the Everything F1 Paddock. We've also got a lovely website, which I will be giving you a makeover fairly soon, which is everythingf1.com.
Thank you for that. Yeah, like Tom said, they've had some amazing guests on. Jamie Chadwick's a big one as well to get on there. So Sam, anything you want to plug, my friend? I feel rude leaving you out like this. I gotta say something.
Well, I don't have my own shiny podcast.
But you've got your amazing playlist on Spotify. You can plug those if you want.
Yeah, no, I won't do that. I'm kind of getting back into making music at the moment, so maybe when I've got something ready to release, then I'll plug it on here. But yeah, watch this space.
We'll have a good chat about that after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we'll talk about that after. But yeah, no, I'll definitely check out your guys' podcasts because it sounds like a good listen actually, both of you. So yeah, just check these guys out because they're doing a good job.
Very kind of you, Sam. Very kind. So, yes, and if you want to check out more from the Formula One Grid Talk, we have over 100 episodes in our back catalogue now, where you can find them all on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Verbal, Omni Studio, Pocket Cast, and the Formula One website as well. Sorry, Formula One Chronicle website as well. Yeah, and we've got nearly 200 subscribers on YouTube now. If you want to get involved with the show live, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, F1 Grid Talk. We go out live there before the shows go onto the usual podcasting platforms. So if you want to see the show first, definitely go to there and ring the bell icon as well to get the notification when we put a new episode out. And yeah, we'll be back on Saturday to analyse qualifying for the Belgian Grand Prix. Thank you, lads, for joining us. I really do appreciate it as always.
Boris,
thanks for having me.
It was funny.
plenty of banter and the occasional bit of Formula One as always. So yeah, we'll see you on Saturday to react to qualifying for the Belgian Grand Prix. See you for that one. Goodbye.
See you in a bit.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Recording start.
Recording has stopped.
Oh,
Oh, Aaron, I didn't realise you had the Lando top on.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't. When I lifted, I'm sitting in the.
Yeah, just sit there, just looking at the camera, like, look at me.
What are you hoping this weekend? Well,
you should just go for a stretch like that and just be like, there it is.
I got the. I could have gone this in for Red Bull upwing on Aston Martin or for Red Bull.
I don't know how you're going to be able to see this if you look at the back of my watch. Oh, just hit on the time.
Yeah.
That's some massive Red Bull racing.
Accurate timing.
There it is.
Oh, right. So we have had a few comments on here, all from Connor Walker. He's always on these live streams. Thank you, mate. What a legend.
Name.
Well, absolute legend.
Yeah, he's always on these. It's great. Am I the only one who thinks there is still a chance for Bottas at Mercedes? I could just be crazy, but I feel like Hamilton is pushing for Bottas. Well, I think somebody mentioned.
Yeah, well, I saw that on kind of just before this. I looked on F1 Reddit, and there was some sort of story about Hamilton's pushing for Bottas to stay as his teammate, which you can understand because obviously he knows he's got the beating of him, and they have a good relationship, and obviously they don't want a repeat of 2016, do they? So
no,
so it's not out of the realms of possibility. But then where does George go? He doesn't want to stay at the back of the grid. So. Yeah, we'll see. But I can see where he's coming from. That's definitely a valid point.
Yeah, to pick up on what you just said, Sam. I mean, if you look at Mercedes' situation, why wouldn't they have Bottas there? The perfect number two. Even if Bottas doesn't want to concede that he's a number two driver, he is number two driver. Let's be fair.
He knows. He must know.
Yeah, and he's as far as I'm concerned, he's done a sterling job of being a number two driver. He's held up people when he's needed to. Yes, okay, maybe not every race. He's had some poor results, but what driver hasn't had poor results? And he's done what he's needed to every year to help Mercedes clinch the Constructors' Championship, because they wouldn't have been able to get it with just Hamilton. Or imagine if they'd have had more Hamilton and Rosberg type scenario. I'm not specifically saying Rosberg. They'd have gone from having perhaps 25 and 18 or 25 and 15 points every race to potentially having naught every race. So, and Bottas is still a damn good driver. He still put it on pole this year.
Yeah, he's been lucky this year as well. Monaco, he would have been on the podium in Monaco.
Oh God,
come off.
Yeah. 2-day long pit stop.
Oh yeah, the tyre didn't come on until it got back to the UK.
Yeah.
I think Bottas, the lack of adaptability. So you see when Mercedes was really tricky to set up, especially in Baku, he was absolutely nowhere. He was outside the points most of the race. Whereas Hamilton found a way to make the car work and was able to adapt his own driving style to suit it. So I think that the window for adaptability is a lot smaller for Bottas than it is for some other drivers. And that is what then separates just the very good from the greatest. If you look at drivers like Senna and Prost, they were able to adjust their driving style constantly.
I think you're spot on there. Good point, mate. I think I think the biggest thing for Bottas, why he won't stay at Mercedes, is that this year, no matter what happens, even if Mercedes go and win the constructors, go and win the drivers, they think they'll be run close. And it has been close all this season so far between them and Red Bull. And Hamilton's got influence over that team. He can say who he wants to be his teammate.
Massive influence.
If they're not winning constructors championships or they're not winning them easily like they used to, Mercedes are going to think, right, we need to get on this, because next year there's going to be a Sergio Perez who's used to the Red Bull. There's going to be an arguably even better Max Verstappen as he matures.
Yep.
You know, there's a big challenge there. And if they don't get Russell in the car to play the long game, because Hamilton, he's 36 now.
He signed a 2-year contract though, which I was surprised that it was 2 years.
They seem to be going for longer contracts now, drivers. It used to be 1 year for everybody pretty much, but there's quite a few longer ones. Look at Ricardo and Ocon.
Ricardo, Ocon, Norris,
Leclerc's on the very long.
Leclerc, Verstappen, they're all on long contracts. The only drivers who aren't on long contracts, they're the ones who are, aside from Bottas and Perez, they're the drivers at the back of the grid.
Yeah.
I think it was a 2-year deal as well for Lewis, because he did the 1 year for this year and he likes to do it in threes, doesn't he? That's sort of his cycle. So because they didn't get to do the 3, they just did the 1 and then they made a new one that was 2 to bring it to the 3.
Yeah, and he took a big pay cut for this year, or was it this year or last year because of COVID and everything? But I've heard now, this is speculation. I've heard that the current deal he's on, he's taken a big pay cut, but the 2-year deal has gone back up to the money that he was earning before.
I believe
that. That's interesting.
Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I heard that on a podcast somewhere. Again, whether that's true, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised. But Hamilton is he is probably the best driver of our generation. I'm not going to say of all time because it's impossible to compare across generations.
You're comparing apples with oranges, aren't you? Depending on the machinery.
Exactly. Yeah. He's arguably he's definitely the best driver of the hybrid era.
Oh yeah.
And when I say our generation, I mean the hybrid era, because realistically, 2014 onwards, it's been all him. So why wouldn't he be able to demand these massive salary, counts? The only thing that he can do is get an 8th world title, because he's broken, I think, every other record. I think the only sort of like other one would be number of races run. That obviously belongs. Is that still Kimi, or has Alonso overtaken him now?
No, it's
Kimi,
yeah.
He overtook Rubens last season.
That's it. Yeah.
I bet he didn't give it a moment's thought.
Yeah, he didn't give a hoot.
Yeah.
That's so what.
It's just a hobby for me. It's a hobby for me.
Yeah.
It's a hobby for me. Yeah.
For me, yeah. It's 330 races later. Yeah.
I know. I'm gonna miss Kimi when he goes. I really am gonna miss him. Not so much for his driving, but just him being in the race. With his comments.
I kind of hope he retires this year, because he doesn't look like he wants to be there anymore.
He really doesn't, does he?
And unless you can go back to 2003, 2005 spec Kimi, which was just outrageously fast, then it's time to hang up the helmet, I think.
I think he should have hung it up in 2018 when he left Ferrari.
Yeah, I think so too. Because he could have come out on a high on the end of that win in Austin.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
This 2-3 years at Alfa Romeo has given him nothing, and they've gone nowhere either.
It's given him. Are we allowed to say now, George, or not?
Yeah, go on. We're on the
it's giving
live
Kimi,
stream now, so it's fine.
It's giving Kimi fuck all.
Yeah.
Well, he's getting quite a lot of money.
He's getting money.
Yeah.
That's the key, I think. But for Alfa, it's a bad thing, because they must be paying him he must have at least quadruple the salary of Giovinazzi.
Oh, fuck it.
Financially, it's a really bad thing to have him in. I mean, I'm sure he brings some marketing, of course, a lot of hat sales and merchandise and stuff like that, but it won't make up for how much his salary is. They should get a Porsche or an Ilott or a Schwartzman.
An Ilott or a Schwartzman, that's who they should get.
Yeah, that would be the dream lineup alongside him this year.
Yeah. Or they should get Schumacher from Haas. Schumacher can argue be a better car, but I don't think that'll happen, because Schumacher brings one and one and Under Armour to Haas, and Haas aren't going to want to let that go.
Yeah, I agree.
They,
I don't
they
think
wanted
go.
German driver, didn't they? Those German investors.
Yeah.
They
I
got
don't think there's another German driver coming up, really. It's like, his name is Zendelli, but he's not ready for F1. He's not good enough, I don't think.
No.
He's in F3, isn't he?
They could have David.
Okay.
Good name.
Yeah,
sure
he's in F3 though, isn't he? He's not ready yet.
He's not ready for F1.
No.
I think he'll stay at Haas. Even if he probably secretly doesn't really want to, he'd much rather go to Alpha, I'm sure. But who knows? Haas might do better next year. It's possible.
We'll see, won't we?
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to say at the minute, but
watch them sweep the floor with everyone. 23 wins out of 23.
Mazepin for world champion. Yeah.
Could you
what would they do though if he won a race? What would they just not play an anthem because he'd still be a neutral competitor? He has to be next year as well.
Did they play the Russian anthem at the Olympics?
Russian hard bass in the background.
Yeah.
DJ Bliatman.
Yeah, DJ Bliat.
I don't know.
If anybody knows Vitus, they should play that.
God, yes.
Yeah, we know Vitus. That's a good point, Aaron. I don't know what they did. I can't remember because they only showed brief highlights when a country other than the UK got a gold.
Well, they in Olympics they must have done something.
They must have played the national anthem of the Olympic Committee, which just so happens to be the national anthem of Russia as well. It's something weird like that. Yeah.
Well, look how that happened.
Yeah. Let's be fair. Putin is going to have some damn high influence, isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. Well, it's like the livery for the Haas. It's just it's just coincidence. That's just what it looks like. It's just,
just so happens.
It looks just like a flag.
Yeah. Yeah. So and they were saying, oh no, it is an American team because there's red, white, and blue. In that case, it could be British or bloody French.
Yeah, we're all Czech or Luxembourg or
Dutch. Yeah, there's a few of them out there.
Dutch,
a highly international team.
Yeah.
Multicultural and all that. Yeah,
embracing all cultures.
Yeah,
as long as it's Russian.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, Conor Walker also points out that it's 30 years to this day, apparently, since Michael Schumacher made his debut in F1.
Bloody hell. So, of course, it was 1991. He was, because he did his first race with Jordan and he conked out in the first lap or something with clutch failure. Yeah.
Qualified like 7th for something ridiculous.
Yeah.
Qualified 7th, and I think it was running like 5th or 6th up the hill. Yeah. And then it just like broke down.
Yeah. And interesting fact, who was the driver who he replaced? What was his name?
Bertrand Gachot.
Was he the one that went to prison?
Yes.
Yeah, he went to prison for assaulting a taxi driver.
Yeah.
Spraying him with like mace or something.
Yeah, I'm sure it was in London as well.
It was in London, yeah.
You can tell I've been on Wiki.
This is proper trivia, this. Jesus.
Yeah.
It's like Grill the Grid.
Yeah.
But you got Sebastian Vettel here.
Vettel
just naming off all the bloody trivia questions.
He's incredible.
I
do that.
I hate to say this, but when I watched that episode, I rattled off the names with him.
Oh, for God's sake!
Yeah,
I did.
I think I got up to about 92, and then I struggled after that.
I got to the mid 80s.
Yeah, it was once I got to the
mid 80s. I tripped over around 83.
Like, yeah, it was like I was now just like, was Larry 83 or 84? I was like, no, Larry was 84. And then it was just like, but who was 83? Was it Alan Jones? It was just like
got to like 1969. I didn't know what that was. I get lost at that point. But to do that under pressure in like a quiz show environment, that's incredible from Vettel.
Vettel is a proper petrol head through and through.
He is.
It's like he bought at auction one of the Williams W14Bs. I think it was Nigel Mansell's car. He bought it. There was that clip of him a few years ago at Brazil when Senna's McLaren was going round, and Vettel was, he was literally there, just like in his Ferrari regalia, just clutching a fence, watching. Because I think Sky or someone went up to him, interviewed him, and said, "What are you doing here?" And Vettel said, "How can you not be here when that's going round?" and just a smile on his face. Yeah,
he's definitely one of the
like
biggest.
A kid in a sweet shop.
Yeah, F1 actual fans that are drivers, because you saw there's some like Tsunoda, Norris. They're just like, oh yeah, don't know anything.
yeah.
I think they come from a different generation though, where they've
exactly,
sort of pushed through karting like the whole way, and all they've known is kart, drive. Whereas if you look back, sort of people our age and Vettel's age, he's in his early 30s. They had a slightly broader scope of what was going on in the world. Nowadays, you have to be so narrowly focused on what you want to achieve to reach it.
Yeah,
they don't know what's going on around them. They get told what to say, and they go and say it.
They're in a bubble kind of thing.
They were in a bubble before it was cool.
Yeah. Don't joke. I've got one more day before I'm allowed back out.
Oh,
what are you isolating? Are you?
Yeah, I tested positive Sunday last week. And I was off work half last week because I just felt rough as anything. But it's about Friday last week I started to really improve, and I did a PCR test Friday. Had the results yesterday or today, can't entirely remember, and it's come back negative. But Track and Trace phoned me earlier today. Actually, they said, "Oh, you're still going to stay in until Wednesday." And I was like, "Fuck off! I tested negative, you silly bitch." It's just, I didn't say that obviously. But, and it was also and also it was a man who phoned. But I was in there thinking, for God's sake, I've done a PCR test, it's negative. I've got 2 lateral flow tests sitting in my drawer right here. So I've kept one for Wednesday just in case. I keep one on hand anyway, just in case. So I'm going to do one Wednesday before I go out just to make sure. But it's just like, why do I still have to sit here? It's just like, just let me out.
It's the most annoying thing. I've been lucky enough not to catch it, but I've had to isolate 3 times because I've been in contact with someone who has.
Yeah.
It's just
same.
By the end of it, you just want to tear your hair out.
Yeah. And the thing is as well, I live by myself. I live on the 2nd floor in a flat. And it's just like
you don't have a garden or anything.
Exactly, I don't have a garden. And it's like when we went into like the lockdown last year in March, I moved back in with my parents because I'm an only child anyway. And I was just like, not being friendly, mum and dad, you've got a big house. There's enough room for us to stay apart. But also, just like going home, having those creature comforts. I wasn't working thanks to the pandemic. I was self-employed and got royally stung. And it was just like, but just being able to like go and sit outside and stuff. And it was just, it's just nice to be able to.
I did exactly the same as you. I went back to my parents for a few months in March last year as well.
Yeah, well, I went back in the February when I started to hear about it. And then I didn't leave until January this year when I moved into this place.
When you get used to living at home again, it's hard to get out of it, isn't it? Because you get used to it.
That's the thing, yeah, and it's like my mum. I highly doubt my parents will be watching this, but my mum, bless her, it's like since I've been in isolation, every day she has brought around a bag of stuff. Something she's made. She's brought around like 2 roast dinners. She brought around curry. She's brought around all bits of shopping of our sort. She's made like Angel Delight. She's made jelly. She's made all sorts and brought it around for me. And every day she brings you like a care package. And it's just bless her. She drives the best part of half hour each way to bring it over and drop it off.
That's effort. That's well done to your mum.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Well done, Mrs. Downey.
Good mum achievements there.
Good mum achievements.
Mum goals.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I said to her when she dropped stuff around yesterday, I said Wednesday, because I was telling my lad, I said, right, I'm going back to the gym in the morning. I'm in the office all day, and I said, can I come to you and Dad for tea? Because I used to go back on a Sunday for a roast dinner, but obviously this Sunday I couldn't. And Mum said, yeah, of course, what meat do you want? All the rest of it. So I'm going back there. Well, Monday, so yeah, I'm going back there Wednesday to see them, properly see them, where you don't have to be wearing a mask and stuff. I can't wait, honestly. Just to get just to get out.
Yeah, are you vaccinated or?
Yeah, the double vaccinated.
Yeah, same.
Cards on my bag, but I'm not going to turn this into a COVID thing. He says, But
Too late now.
I know. But if I hadn't been vaccinated, I dread to think how rough I would have been.
That's the thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, some people listen to this, you know, I say, you know, I'm against the vaccine. Fine, absolutely fine. You know, I respect people's decisions, all the rest of it. But if I wouldn't have had those 2 jabs, and I didn't really have any, especially after the second one, I had no side effects. The first one, I had a heavy arm, but other than that, I was fine. I had the Pfizer both times. There's a good chance I'd have like properly been in hospital and stuff. So
quite scary, isn't it? When you put it all like that.
Yeah. And it's like, I know people around me who have been in hospital. There's one person I know, an old family friend, who caught it over Christmas, and he was on ICU for a long time. And thankfully, he's out. I spoke to him last week. Thankfully, he's out and doing a lot better. But it's scary when because you hear about it in the news. And I've got a pretty strong stomach. I'm sort of like numb to a lot of things that go on in the news or the rest of it. But it's when you see someone who you know.
It's when it hits home.
Yeah. Oh yes.
My uncle went in over Christmas as well. He was 20 minutes they had to get the oxygen into him.
Jesus.
Yeah, he was cutting it fine. And then I think he's gone through cancer. He's gone through a liver or kidney replacement as well.
Yeah.
And then he had COVID as well. You're getting rid of William's story there.
No, because my flat is quite close to the river in Cardiff. When it goes dark, because obviously I've got the lights on, so you get these little fucking flies. You can hear the venom in that. So they just come in and it's just like congregate. You know, they're trying to have a rave on the ceiling.
They're so hard. They're impossible. They're easy to get in the place, but they're impossible to get out.
Yeah,
it's horrible. Like we live somewhere that until very recently it was a forest, so a lot of the wildlife and stuff is just kind of hanging around. So flies, it's just a nightmare.
The window.
Yeah, we left open the window because it was hot, and now they're just here and they're not going. I think we've finally got rid of some of them because it's cooled down now. But while it was hot and muggy, they just wouldn't leave.
Everywhere. Yeah.
We did everything. We cleaned the place top to bottom. We cleaned the bin and we did everything, but they still came back the next day. They're like ninjas coming in, but getting out. They're just not like blind, pretty much. They just don't want to leave.
They fly straight in the door or through the window, and then they're like, "Oh no, what's that? Window can't get out. Wall can't get out. Can't get out. Oh, I'll have
literally
to stay."
that. Yeah. Oh man,
I don't like killing flies and stuff like that. I always try to get them out where they need to be. I don't like ending their life.
Nah, they can fuck off.
I'm with you on this one, Tom. Flies are really annoying. Right, I think we could probably get going, but I enjoyed that, lads. Thanks for coming on.
It was fun.
No problem.
Good chat.
Thanks to everybody who's joined us on the live stream as well. We'll see you for the next one. And yeah, just let us know about tomorrow as well. Does that time work for you? Did it say 8, Aaron?
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Is that all right?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. Just send us an invite on whatever you record on, and we'll do it.
We'll do it on Zoom, like we are now.
All good.
Wicked.
Right. See you then. Take care, lads.